Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. 2024 is officially behind us. Now we're in 2025. Hopefully it will be a great year. And now to kick off 2025 for our very first video of the year, today I have prepared an incredibly special video. On March 22nd, 2005, the gaming world was delighted to the masterpiece, the great game that is God of War. And now, 20 years later, today is the 20th anniversary of the God of War franchise. And today is honestly a very special day. Probably the most special video I would make this year, and probably the most special anniversary of gaming this year. So I wanted to tell you my journey and my story with the God of War franchise. It all began in the year 2013 when I was 8 years old. The very first God of War game I played, the very first one, was actually the demo for God of War Coast of Sparta. And at the time, I was just 8, I didn't know much, but it looked fun and I enjoyed it. And then after that, I played the demo of God of War Ascension, and it was only a demo, and yet I was so fascinated, and I always wanted to continue. And then after being very patient, I finally got God of War Ascension at the age of 8 years old. And it was the first God of War game that I beat. And I must say, it was unlike anything I ever did at that time. It was truly amazing, playing it on my PS3 back in the day. That was 2013. And then we jumped 2 years later in 2015. Then I had God of War 3 on my PlayStation 3. And when I played God of War 3 on my PlayStation 3, I was blown away. I was literally blown away. It made God of War Ascension look like a piece of cake. God of War 3 blew me away. At the time, of course, I didn't understand the story or anything. I just understood that this guy, Kratos, was just walking around killing everyone. I didn't understand anything. I was just a 10-year-old kid. But this video is more about a reflection on this journey, because the God of War series has been with me since I was 8 years old. Today, I am 20 years old. And then, fast forward 2 years later, we go to December 2017. In December 2017, I got God of War 3 Remastered on my PlayStation 4. And I played God of War 3 Remastered way too many times. And this time, I was older. And this time, I was more experienced. And this time, I actually understood what was going on. And the story of Kratos just deeply resonated with me, and it was a masterclass. And then around that time frame, God of War 2018 came out for PS4. And I got it, and I played it, and I enjoyed it, and it was amazing. But now you're probably wondering, since I didn't play the God of War series in order, was I confused? And the answer is yes, I was confused. And now we jump 2 years later in 2020. In the summer of 2020, I decided to get a PlayStation Now subscription. Now it's called PS Plus, but back then it was called PS Now. I got a PS Now subscription, and I played the entire God of War franchise. I played God of War Ascension, God of War Chains of Olympus, God of War 1, God of War Coast of Sparta, God of War 2, God of War 3 Remastered again for like the 50th time, God of War 2018. And now, I waited 2 more years for God of War Ragnarok. And then eventually God of War Ragnarok came out. And I must say, the God of War series is my second favorite game series of all time. My top favorite game series of all time is The Last of Us. In my opinion, you just cannot beat The Last of Us. The Last of Us is a masterpiece. But God of War comes very, very, very close. And also, I was always interested in mythology. Ever since I was a kid, I was always fascinated by mythology. Mythology is very, very interesting if you think about it. Even if you're someone who may not like history, mythology is still something phenomenal. So I just wanted to reflect on this journey of God of War from when I was 8 until I was 20. And now, you're probably wondering which God of War game in this series is my favorite. I have picked two candidates for this award. The first candidate is God of War 3 Remastered, the one God of War game that I played too many times to count. And the other candidate is God of War Ragnarok. Both these games conclude a respective era of the series, and they are both phenomenal and they are both amazing, and you literally can't complain. However, I have to be fair and I have to be honest. Which God of War game is my favorite? God of War 3 or God of War Ragnarok? The answer is God of War Ragnarok. Now don't get me wrong, God of War 3, the boss battles are epic. You're fighting against everybody in Greek mythology. It was epic. It was very epic. However, in my opinion, God of War Ragnarok, the drama and the emotions and the growth that Kratos goes through as a character is just crazy. Like when I was a kid playing God of War 3 way back in the day, if you had told me that at one point in the future Kratos would actually become something far different than what he is, I would not have believed you. Like the amount of Kratos growth, the amount of growth he has been through, the amount of change he has been through, even at the end of Ragnarok when Thor wants to punch him, he's like, no more destruction, no more violence. That, in my opinion, you cannot beat it. And even though some people might be upset that Kratos has changed, might be upset that Kratos is no longer the blind, rageful young person that he was, in my opinion, Kratos has become a masterman. And this is why God of War Ragnarok is my favorite game of the series. And I cannot wait to see what is next for the God of War series in the future. So yes, so the God of War series has been with me for like 12 years at this point. And today is honestly very, very special that we are celebrating 20 years of this amazing franchise. And I absolutely cannot wait to see what will happen next. And to lastly end up, what do I think is the future of the God of War series? Now that Ragnarok is over, now that the Norse saga is over, what is next? In my opinion, if you've played Ragnarok and you've seen how it ends, Kratos and Atreus go off on their separate ways. And in my opinion, I think that in the next game, we're going to get a game that focuses on Atreus. And personally, I think Sony Santa Monica should make this a linear game so that we can get full-on Atreus story and full-on Atreus development. And then after that, get the next mainline God of War game. I want to see the return of Kratos. And I really don't know where he will go next. I mean, after all, if you look at the media and if you look at movies and TV shows and stories, Greek mythology and Norse mythology are the two big mythologies that get attention. Look at Marvel, they made movies about Thor, Norse mythology, and look at Disney, they made Hercules, which is Greek mythology. So these two mythologies are the very popular ones. And other mythologies around the world may not be that popular, but they're still pretty cool. But I personally cannot wait to see the future of the God of War series. The God of War series is something that I will forever love, and it was like amazing. It has captivated my interest as an 8-year-old kid, and I was a 20-year-old young man. It continues to wow me. So what about you? When did your individual journey with the series begin? What do you think of God of War? Are you excited for the future? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Peace.